What is going on, everybody? It is Brent Abel here, goldballhunting.com. That smiling,
Uh,
wandering minstrel, Northern California. You can't
it's like
pin
a
that guy down.
it's like
You
a
can't.
mugshot today, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Have you seen me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah. So if you're in anywhere in California, the post office, I'm sure
yeah,
you can find Jeff. Hey,
yeah. Back, you
have you
might see
seen
my
him?
picture on the back of a milk carton too,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the great Jeff Jacklich, everybody. Guys, we got another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. Stay with us today because we got something more to talk about. Jeff's going to elaborate on kind of a reality that we get a little stressed out about way too often in our matches.
Yeah.
And we got to take a chill pill. So, guys, hang in there with us because we got another great episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast for you today.
So the big question is this: how are tennis players like us who never played on the tour, weren't incredible juniors, or maybe got a late start to the game, how do we consistently compete at our highest skill level without having to grind through endless hours of on-court practice time and still be in the hunt for the victory match after match? That is the question, and Gold Ball Hunting gives you the answers by helping you eliminate your skill level range so that you build a strong foundation of confidence. My name is Jeff Jacklich, and along with Brent Abel, my partner, welcome to Gold Ball Hunting.
Well, all righty, Jeffrey, what is going on there, dude? Looks like you're, we often don't see that background.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's
this is
Napa, Moraga, the desert. It could be by the seaside.
it could be.
Yes.
It could be anywhere, but this is Napa. This is actually the original room that it all started in for me.
Ah.
You were where you are.
Yeah.
And I was here in this room, so we've come full circle almost here because we are approaching the end of the year, So,
Well, that's true.
we
Today is episode number 305.
bang,
Yeah.
bang. So yeah, it's a little hazy here, a little cooler today, but it's going to be a nice day. I got some sessions this morning after we do this, and
Well, as soon as we're done, I'm heading out to grass courts here. I'm going to work out with my buddy Owen, who
nice.
was convinced that every time I hit a decent shot, God, you are so lucky.
Yeah,
So lucky.
I love hearing that from my opponents.
Well,
I love it. It
Yeah.
actually just inspires me just to be.
yeah,
Let's
right.
just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'd like to tell him, if it's a let court, I said, oh, come on, man. I mean, it's really the only shot I had. I mean, and he goes, you're so lucky with the let court. Well, not really. I kind of planned it. And
You know what I noticed throughout my career, speaking of leg cords, is that every time I advanced in my, like, I was beating another level of player, I noticed that let cords and things tended to move in my direction. It seemed like the let cords would dribble over. It seemed like it was more positive. I was on the positive end of a lot of that stuff rather than the negative end.
do you think we could charge like $1 gazillion for a course of how to hit a let cord winner?
Oh, take a number. It'd be like a deli line, in New York. I mean, it'd be out the block and around the block, right? We couldn't charge enough for that lesson.
I think that's our next course. We got to figure out how to
Got it. Yeah.
do that. All right, look, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. So, Jeff, you want to chat a little bit about a lesson you had recently with one of our gold ballers.
Yep. Yeah. Monday. After our other gold baller, Rich came back from Vegas and he won the back draw.
Right.
So I had a session with him, a good coaching session with him Monday morning for about an hour and a half or so, almost 2 hours. And then our good friend Elisa came out, and I think she's got a few balls under her belt. And for her, I haven't seen her in a little bit, and it's really about getting that mindset right to allow your opponent to participate in you winning the match. She strikes a really good ball, really aggressive. It's great. She likes it to be fast. She likes it, the action. And so the session was really about, setting, once you set it up, then the finish is not this thing where nobody touches the ball. It's okay to drive the ball into a corner, or not even into a corner, just in the middle of the other half of the court, and it's okay if they run for it and then miss that shot. That I personally like it when my opponent is trying to run down a ball that I've hit and they end up hacking it up, because that means they've used fuel, they've used mental energy, they're emotionally attached to it, and that can really turn the tide of a match. But so for her, she's used to.
How do you set up that drill? How do you? I mean, she's a 5-0 player, 5-0 gal.
Right.
So how do you set up that drill with someone at that level, or let's say anyone at any level, so that they are practicing sort of desensitizing themselves to allowing that opponent, especially, I mean, a 5-0 level, in theory, you know, an opponent might be able to do some damage if you don't end the point. So how do you desensitize that skill level to be able to feel like, hey, you know what, it's okay?
Right. Well, we were specifically, we were working on the approach into the ad side of the court, and then positioning on the first volley. So it was approach, and then really cleaning up her split step was definitely part of it.
For what reason was that? Kind of to get the
well, she was
spacing,
a little bit of a stutter. So she, right foot, which means now you can't move to the right, left foot, and then the right foot comes up, and then when your weight's on the left foot, which means you can't move to the left now.
Yeah.
Because your right foot's on. So getting that one squeak, that was like, okay, listen, I only want to hear one squeak when your feet hit the ground. Equal time at the same time.
Yeah.
So we cleaned that. We did some work on that, but I did it in context with, you're going to hit the approach, you're going to come in, you're going to give me one squeak. I'm going to feed the ball. I'm going to play your approach back so it's live, and then you're going to play that forehand volley into the middle of the deuce court, the deep deuce quadrant, and that's where things kind of got away a little bit. Is that not taking control of that ball, kind of just letting the ball rebound off the strings a little bit, and not taking command on it, and instead of just directing the ball over that direction, and kind of not seeing the focus of, like, if you're going to finish, we have to finish. And the finish is, we have to make sure we make this volley, which means we're not going to scream it next to the line. We're not going to tease the baseline. We're going to drive it into that quadrant. So we have good margin, and we feel like we've made good, clean contact with the ball, because that's what builds confidence. Confidence is when we start making a lot of those shots, not worrying about the outcome, that the person might get it. Play that shot, move to the next appropriate position, because that is the next layer of pressure. That was another thing that wasn't quite clearly understood, is that taking the next position after the approach is the final layer of pressure on making that opponent squeeze the racket a little tighter, go for a little bit more for their shot, and start to actually make errors. And you don't have to actually touch the ball sometimes to finish. They'll finish for you, but you have to finish your process,
Right.
So we kind of cleaned up mentally, really kind of cleaned that up for her. It wasn't so much a physical thing as it is for her mentally. Kind of like, I put it in these terms sometimes. Once you start to learn to do pattern work, and you find yourself all of a sudden with all these great opportunities to either approach, or I got a mid-court forehand, or all this stuff. A lot of players initially kind of disrespect all the work they did to get to that point, and they say, "Oh, now I'm here. Now I can just go ahead and swat this thing off the court, right?" And so I put it in that regard. I go, "Listen, you just disrespected the 3 shots you just hit to create this opportunity ball. So don't disrespect them.
Yeah.
You now have to do the hard work to prep, posture, framework." And spacing. I said, now we got to get that work done now. Now is when it really counts. So a lot of players fall into that gap too, where they do that front end work, and then their brain kind of flips when it's time to finish, and they're not focused on the job. They're focused on the result of the finish, not the actual work to create the finish. So hope all that jumbling.
Well, that's good. No, that's great, because it shows that really at any level, and it's all relative, right?
Any level. Yeah.
Assuming a 5-0 gal has got a 5-0 opponent. Well, that's obviously that's a skill level that's higher than, say, a 4-0, right? So if a 5-0 comes in and dings that thing, is a 4-0 going to handle as well as a 5-0? No, they're not.
Right.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that all things being equal, all skill, if you've got a same level skill level opponent, you still have to execute the shot, the approach shot, in a way that you get out of the mindset of, I need to really hit this thing so that it doesn't come back. And a lot of that is
right.
As you were talking about, I was thinking about, all right, so you played the approach and now this little sitting duck comes back. How many times, Jeff, I know I have, maybe you haven't, but a lot of players, they then have a wide open court and they don't really watch the ball all the way into the strings. And the next thing you know is it clunks around somewhere and dribbles down and they miss the volley, even though they had a wide open court.
Right.
And for me, I feel like, who was I with? Oh, I was playing some doubles the other day. And my doubles partner, had an easy ball and just clunked it in the racket and just said, God dang it. I said, well, I know what it was. I just said, for me, the hardest part of what appears to be an easy shot, I got to concentrate like crazy,
just paying attention
to not go, oh boy, I can't wait to see my winner and see the whole landscape and see the guy going, darn it, all that stuff.
Right.
I really have got to I worked with Michael Wayman on it. He's the classic of the Fed, not looking at the shot, just classic.
Yeah, don't move your gaze off the ball, right?
That's exactly right. And so it takes discipline because we want to see the glory, right? On that approach shot, we want to see the glory. Well, that leads to a low quality approach, and you might get hurt with a low quality approach,
right? Yeah, or that like you described, the big fat volley there, is that when we created the opening, a lot of times players who are still struggling with that little aspect of it is that they get into hurry up mode because they want to hurry up and end it.
Yeah.
But they didn't hurry up to that point. They were just doing the work, executing each shot as appropriately supposed to do. And now all of a sudden, here's the opportunity, and I want to hurry up and get it into that open court so the guy doesn't touch it or the gal doesn't touch it.
Right.
And that is just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
If you have to stay in your own that same rhythm you've been in, do the work, and just execute, and then go to the next appropriate spot. And then a lot of times you'll find that no one shows up to hit the ball back to you. Okay, that's how it's done.
Well, and that's kind of my mindset is I'm thinking now, I don't care how big the opening is. I'm just assuming that opponent over there has already guessed that's where I'm going to go with it, and they're going to get over there. And so my job is not to hit a winner. My job is to hit a quality volley over there. And for me, the technique is whatever the technique is, but it's really keeping the eyes at that contact point and not peeking, right? Not the PEEK. How often, we talk about all the videos that we see online where they're just working on, lag snap and wipe on the forehand. It's just, it's just underhand feed after underhand feed. And it's just this violent forehand.
Right.
But once that violent forehand produces something, and then the guy goes up to the net and chunks the easy sitter volley.
Right.
I would love to see a video where some pros out there just feeding like 50 of the fattest little sitter volleys. And can you keep your eyes there at contact and make the shot without actually seeing the result? Can you make the shot and feel what you've done? Can you feel depth? Can you feel speed? Can you feel the spin? Can you feel the quality without?
Can you feel the transition of a semi-Western forehand grip to a continental to actually execute what you're talking about? Sorry, was that mean?
So how often? So okay. Well, now you just reminded me of something that happened yesterday.
Here we go.
I was done playing. I was walking back, and I'm not going to name names, but we had a little disagreement on how to teach the forehand grip. And this is a guy my age, right? And maybe a couple of years younger. And he's going, oh man, we go full semi-Western. And so his group that he was talking with, this group of ladies, one of the gals was saying, well, we've got a teaching pro there that on his gate where you walk in for the court, he says something like, today I will not show you a semi or full Western forehand, right, grip. And I'm just going, yeah,
yes,
we have got to, and the pro over there is going, oh God, that guy should be just hung. And, I'm going, what? No, we should be celebrating this guy.
This guy should be lifted up, and he should have a temple.
That's right.
He should have a church.
So I just kind of walked away and said, well, all right, that's fine. And look, I think that I'm not saying that I don't ever hit a semi-Western forehand, because I do, but and the point I tried to make yesterday was that, look, a semi-Western, even, all the versions of the forehand, once you get past the Eastern, and even sometimes the Eastern, there's certain balls that's just not the appropriate grip. You just can't do anything with the ball there. But it's like, well, we're going to hit a semi-Western forehand as if every ball to your forehand side allows you to do that. And it's just madness.
Right.
As far as I can see. So I would tell you guys that, look, I do hit I do use a semi-Western forehand grip on a really specific ball. Right. And it's pretty rare that my opponent ever gives me that ball. It's kind of this high sort of lazy thing that comes in that bounces up, that I'm just, and I probably don't go semi. I'll bet it's Eastern. Maybe
right. It just feels like you're so far around the grip.
That's right. And all I'm trying to do is it's just a standard rally ball. It has nothing to do. I'm not doing anything fancy with it. I'm not trying to grip and rip. Obviously not trying to lag snap and wipe on that thing. So all right, well, we got a little off topic today.
So many one-liners that run through my head every time you say wipe at the end of that. It's just like I can't.
Yeah. It's a bunch of crap.
Keep myself on a leash.
Something like that. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks for hanging out with us today. Free coaching call, private coaching call. Jeff, the three of us. Look, you go schedule a thing, right? 15 minutes, and three of us get in the phone. It's private. We don't record it, but we could just ask you to bring the one thing in your game right now that maybe you're not figuring out. And maybe what we'll discover in this free coaching call is that that's not the thing. It might be something else that if we were to say, well, look, I think you ought to really focus on this other thing for the next 60, 90 days, because if you did, Jeff and I believe you would start getting the result you want. And so the way to get on that call, free, private, go over to goldballhunting.com. Just drop in your first name and email address, click the button. You get access to our online calendar scheduler. You get to pick a date and time that works best for you. Obviously, if you're on our email list, well, maybe not obviously, but you should know if you're on our email list that there is a reel me back in, because I'm still thinking about the semi-Western forehand. But if you're on our email list already, anything you get from us has got a link in there where you can send
links, buttons, words, blue words that you can press. Yeah,
do it. Just get her done. With that said, Jeff, what do you want to find folks to do right now?
I've already got my finger.
You've already got the Eastern grip and the forehand going right there. So go ahead, man.
The Eastern finger.
Yeah.
Like us, share us. Please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below. iTunes, Stitcher, rate and review. Goldballhunting.com. Take that link and share it with a friend.
Right on. Guys, get out there today. Help someone else have a spectacular Eastern forehand grip day. Jeff will do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.